What's up guys, it's Talon here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at how you can improve your controller performance by analyzing 5 top controller players' senses. But before I get into this video guys, if you do enjoy my content or find what I'm telling you helpful, please drop a like on this video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on post notifications. Also, if you wish to support me in another way, use code Talon.fn in the Fortnite item shop, #ad. But without further ado, let's just jump right in. As I stated before, I'm going to be going over 5 controller players' sense, but before I jump into that, I'm just going to kind of give the criteria of what I'm evaluating. I'm going to be evaluating building and editing, I'm going to be evaluating aim, and then I'm just going to be evaluating movement and just overall feel of the sense. Let's just jump right in. Alright guys, first up we have FNCS champion Deyy, one of the best players in NA East, and I was a little bit surprised with his sense. If we dive into it, you can see 1.9, 1.9, 4343 for 43 for look horizontal and vertical. I think the sense is pretty low for linear. Usually you see a little bit faster, usually you see +2s, so I was a little bit surprised. It's actually a very kind of slow sense, especially with his higher dead zones. See 9-9, that's pretty standard. You see 9 to 10 here. No boost, so not too much in the advanced settings. Linear, no look dampening, and then like I said, 10-10. This sense overall, I would say, is solid. I really do like this sense. I've rocked it for a little while. I like it. The only kind of complaints I have in terms of like the building and editing is sometimes it feels like when you go vertical, it gets like a little bit stuck. It's not the best, and same thing like if I want to make quick turns, I feel like sometimes I'm like just a little bit, and that's only like in certain situations, especially with fighting. Like with free building, it's really not, I feel like, not big of an issue. It's not a bad sense at all. I definitely enjoy it. This is a sense I could definitely rock, no problem. I think it's very good. The aim is the best part. Before I get into aim though, I'd say like building and editing 7 out of 10, definitely good, very solid. You have a lot of stick control because kind of that dead zone, which I really like, and especially on linear, I think that's important. Get into these higher senses and you lose a lot of stick control. The aim is by far the best part. I feel like I can consistently hit headshots, max damage bumps on this sense, as opposed to maybe some other senses where I'm just struggling to consistently hit hard. Overall, and then like the movement, like I kind of already just alluded to, I feel like sometimes like you can like go vertical and it's not great, or like a quick turn, like if I want to just go, you know, like right here, I feel like that's really kind of difficult on this sense. It's not the best, but it's definitely doable. And I think there's some other senses that can kind of maybe just tweaking a little bit of the settings, like right there, just a little sticky on the verticality. Overall a solid sense, though. I'd probably give this sense overall like a 4 or 7 out of 10. The aim is really good. If you're struggling with aim, this is a great sense to kind of reel yourself in on. Not bad at all. But let's take a look at a couple of clips that I got with Deyy's sense. Full piece. Nope, game full piece. Put on. Alright, next up we have another FNCS champion, and this time we're going to be taking a look at Mero's sense. Now, Mero's sense is significantly faster. However, I feel like with the aim settings, you really don't lose that aim because he's taken a little bit more time, as you're going to see here. 2.2, 2.3, so significantly different in terms of multipliers. 43, 43, the exact same. Like I said, pretty standard. 40 through 45 is what I've seen on most linear players. Even most exponential players are kind of in that 40 to 50 range. And then as you can see here, you get into these aiming settings, 8, 6, and then 2, 2. So we do see some advance of the turning boost. I think if you find something great here, you can find a great balance of mechanics and good aim and good control. And I think Mero's done that here. And as you see, no look damage time linear, and his dead zones 9-8, so not 10-10. So a significantly, I would say, like faster sense. I feel this sense feels so good at almost all times, like building, editing, movement. And I just switched for Deyy, so it might take me a little bit used to, but I never feel like I have any trouble high walling. I have any trouble just switching anywhere. I feel like I can start my crosshair anywhere, and I really don't lose, I feel like, any aim. And you're gonna see that in the clips. I'd say the building and editing on this sense is probably like It just feels so buttery, feels so smooth. I feel like I look up, I'm automatically placing high walls. I don't know. I would say this sense is probably 9 to 10 on building and editing. It feels so good. It feels so buttery smooth. Oh, it's just so, and I just feel like it's not as sticky as Deyy's sense in like comparison, even though they have like similar aim, and the aim doesn't suffer. I would say the aiming, I'd say Deyy is still a little bit better because you just have more stick control. But it's Miro's is no slouch either. I'd probably give, if I give Deyy's probably like a 9 out of 10, I would say this was probably an 8 out of 10 for aim. And the movement is just, it's definitely better than Deyy. I'd say overall, the movement is probably going to be like a 9 or 10 on this sense. I just feel, one, it's like I can quickly turn whatever I want. It's just, it's so nice, so buttery. And then when you come to overall, I'd say this is 9 out of 10. Definitely probably going to be my favorite sense. I could just tell by general feel, especially with like the high walls. It just feels like it's just going to place right there everywhere it goes, you know? Really, really good. Let's take a couple of clips that I got using Miro's sense. Next up, we have another top controller player, but not an FNCS champion. This is Scope's settings, and you can see they are a little bit different than the previous linear players before. 2.0, 2.0, same sense, 42-42. Again, we haven't seen much variation in that, 42-42 and 43-43 on our first two. Now, this is where it kind of gets a little bit more interesting. And then again, 10-10, not a very, very common ADS. Not surprised there, but then look dampening time, 0.07. Which I'm just not a fan of look dampening time in general. And then left dead zone 7.6. Now this sense is a sense that on just, if you're just freebilling, you're like, wow, this sense is god tier. You absolutely love, sorry, I just switched to linear, it's probably very much, but I just love how loosey-goosey it feels. It feels so nice, smooth, buttery, kind of like Miro's sense in that regard. And I've just been playing on exponential, so it's very... But for me, it just feels so good. I feel like your mechanics can be so good. But one thing I always note, I could say the mechanics could be like 8 or 9 out of this. Truly just very good. And I know I'm not looking too good right now, but it feels so good. There you go. And I feel like you can really like... But here's like the issue that I think with this sense is, I feel like it's very hard to consistently aim. I'd give the aim about 5 out of 10. And I think it's due to that low dead zone. It might just be a little bit too low for me. It just feels like I don't have a lot of stick control, like as opposed to a Deyy sense where I have just a significant amount, or like an exponential, as we're going to talk about later. The stick control, but man, does this not feel buttery smooth. I just feel like it's so hard to be consistent on the aim, and that's really the only downside. The movement is good. I feel like if you were to compare the first 3 senses, this is like the super fast one, and Deyy is the super slow one. Miro's just kind of like the happy medium. And another thing too, I forgot to mention, I have gotten stick drift with this sense, which is probably one of my least favorite things about it. It's so annoying getting stick drift. I hate just sitting in my box, my crosshairs moving. It already just makes things more difficult to hit in general. So overall, I would give this sense maybe like a... I'd probably give it like a 6.5. It's close. It's a solid sense. I think it just needs a little bit more like stick control for it to be great. Maybe turn up the dead zones a little bit, but overall not a bad sense, and it does feel pretty good, but I don't know, not my favorite. Let's just see a couple clips I hit with scope sets, and then let's jump into the next one. Next up, we have another FNCS champion. We're going to be taking a look at Reet's Sens. Now, as you would expect, Reet's Sens is very unique, just like Reet as a player is incredibly unique. You see here, one with it being exponential, that already puts him in the minority, but this Sens is incredibly low. 1.6, 1.6, 50, 60, the only one thus far that we've seen that doesn't match in that particular aspect. And then we see 17, 17. This Sens is just all kinds of wonky in my opinion. 0.2 dampening time, and then obviously on exponential, and 6% low dead zone, trying to combat just how very stiff Expo is in general. However, I just don't like this Sens. I think the building and editing here is super choppy and clunky. I could see how he have good crosshair placement and never miss shots though, because it's impossible for the crosshair to pretty much move anywhere other than right where you want it to be. I just feel like everything is just incredibly just too stiff for me. We even have the same binds. The only difference is that he does not use edit on release and I do. I'm not a fan of the building and editing. I'd probably give this maybe a 2 or a 3 out of 10. It just feels awful. Feels so stiff. I feel like I have to move my controller a mile just to basically get where I need to go. And that could be just me playing linear the entire most of my Fortnite career, but I don't know. I just doesn't feel smooth or solid. And for me, it doesn't make sense in Chapter 3, a spray meta to play exponential. One, linear has always been better up close with that type of aim. The nerf to aim assist, and you want movement to be good. And I feel like it's very difficult to have fantastic movement. And Reet has mastered his movement. Don't get me wrong. I just feel like it's just so much easier to have nicer movement on linear. With the aim, obviously going to be a strong suit. However, again, I do find the problem where if you are unfortunate, someone runs by you and uses good movement, you're just going to struggle so much to turn. I mean, this is literally me moving it slowly, which you kind of have to do on linear, and maybe that's the type of thing, but I just don't feel like, I feel like I just have to move so far. And like I said, the movement is not very good. Overall, I'd give this Sens like a 3 out of 10. I'm not enjoying this Sens at all, even though we have the same binds and literally rocking the same skin. I would definitely recommend something else, but let's see a couple clips that I got with this particular Sens. Finally. Alright, last up we have another exponential setting from a very well-known controller player who actually just switched, and that is Collazo. Now, as you see, Collazo's Sens is a little bit higher than Reet's at 1.8, 1.8, 47, 47. So again, kind of the only one that's different values here is Reet for that. So again, just unique. He doesn't like look dampening. He said he's been 10-10 since Legacy, so he's kept it that way. Exponential, he said he wanted to switch, and this was right before the season, so I'm going to be surprised if he stays this way. 8-7, he said he changes his dead zone frequently, so that's not set in stone. No look dampening time. Now, again, this Sens is kind of just the amalgamation or just like the accumulation of the problem with exponential. It's the same like just choppy, just smooth feel. You feel like you have to move your controller 10 miles just to get any semblance of getting it, but it's not as bad as Reet's. I could give like the building and editing probably like a 4 out of 10, but I'd be surprised if he stays, because his whole thing was that the AR aim is sticky. Well, now with the AR pretty much essentially being all ADS regardless of what input, and the nerf to aim assist, you would want movement to be your priority, and I feel like just movement is very hampered by this particular input. The aim is solid again, probably the 7 out of 10. It's kind of the same problem with Reet Sens too. It's like, for me, it's just like, I always feel like anyone gets around me, I'm dead because I can't turn enough to see him. The verticality sometimes can be a little bit challenging. It's not the worst Sens in the world. I think it is better than Reet's, but not something I just particularly enjoy. I just feel so choppy, especially when I'm building up. Now, I think the crosshair placement again of the exponential is phenomenal. But other than that, it's nothing that I would probably use. I'd give overall, like the movement, the aim, and just maybe a 5 out of 10. I think it is better than Reet Sens a little bit, just because it is a little bit higher. But other than that, probably would not recommend using, especially in this spray meta season. But let's take a look at a couple of clips, and then I'm going to get a video to just sum it all up. From best to worst sense, it goes Mero, Deyy, Scoped, Collazo, then Reet. I just truly believe that linear is superior in every way, in terms of feel, in terms of what you can do with your aim. Even though exponential does give you good aim, I just don't think that the sacrifice in movement and just overall feel is worth it, especially in a season where spraying and being up close is kind of what you need to do in this particular season. So I would recommend using one of those linear senses. But that is going to do it for today's video, guys. I hope that you did enjoy. If you did, please drop a like on this video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on post notifications. And I hope I'll be seeing you in the next one. Peace.